Hi, I'm Miss Mercer, and I will be teaching your Sunday Level 3 Day 1 lesson today. The goal is to have your child or student read each sound aloud, rapidly, and accurately. If your student makes an error, you will say, "Let's trace." Then you will say, "This is the letter S," which says S, as in, and then you would show the keyword slide, sock. And then you would ask them to trace it 3 times with these 2 fingers. S, S says S, S says S, S says S, 3 times. Okay, I'm just going to go through the slides right now. Remember not to add the on your sounds. We don't want to say ba, we want to say b quickly and accurately. Remember, at any time you can pause the video to give your child more time. Okay. So now I'm showing the paper that we would use in class. I know that not everyone would have this available right now, but just so you see the format, I'm going to dictate some sounds to you, and if the student was in class, they would write these sounds down in this column here where it says spell sounds. Okay, so I will say a sound to the student. They're going to repeat the sound, and then they're going to say and write it at the same time. Okay? Student will say P, and then they will say and write it at the same time. They would write that right there. A, B, N, G. And feel free to pause if your child needs more time at any point. L, D. Okay? So now in this section, if your student or child makes an error here, you would write something like this on your whiteboard, or you would just talk to them. I see, and then you would say the sound you want. I wanted D. What letter makes the D sound? And hopefully your child will tell you that. And if they don't, so when they tell you, okay, it's the D, then you're going to write it on something to tell them. And then you'll say, if you don't have the D, cross it out, write D, and then have them write it 2 more times beside it to make it permanent so they get a chance to practice that. Okay. Question you can ask your child would be, write 2 ways to spell k, and the answer would be CK. Okay, so now you are going to have your child read a column of the words on the next page. Make sure that they place their fingers under the word. If they make an error, have them trace. Okay, so if they make an error on the word, say cat, when they say it, they need to look at the word and trace each letter. K, t, cat. And they need to do that 2 more times for a total of 3 times to help with the error. Okay, so in this section, you may want to pause the video to give your student time to read one of the columns of words. You don't have to read all 3. You can if you'd like, but just 1 column per day. Sometimes you might want to repeat this lesson and then vary what you do there. So pause the video and you can read the words in that section. Okay, so now we're getting ready for the spell words section. This is another review, an example of touch spelling. If your child is right-handed, they will touch spell with their pinky, starting with their pinky as you see there on their left hand. If they are left-handed, they will start with their thumb, and this is so that they can use touch spelling while they are still writing. Okay, so on this section, I'm going to read some words, and then the student is going to repeat the word, touch spell the word, and then say each sound while they write the word. And that will be put in this section right here that's called spell words. Obviously, whatever your paper looks like at home is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through all the steps on the first 2 words, and then I'll just give the words. Okay, so the first word is sad. The learner will repeat the word. Then the learner will touch spell the word. I'll give an example of that. S-A-D. Then the learner will say each sound while writing it. Okay, I'll do the same example for this next word, and then I will just read the other words. Pat. Student will repeat the word. Student will say the word while touch spelling the word, and now the student will write while saying the sounds of the word. Okay, so now we're going to go forward. Fan. And feel free to pause the video after each word if you need to. Sat. Mad. Cat. Ran. Bad. Make sure you give your student time to write all the words. And then we're going to move on to checking the words. Okay, so you should have all these words written on your paper somewhere. So check your words. If you didn't have sad as your first word written like this, cross it out and write it 3 times. You will do the same for all of the following words. So check your words. Pat. Fan. And pause the video if you need to make corrections. Sat. Mad. Cat. Ran. Bad. Okay, so now we're going to do spell words and phrases. Well, actually, we don't have any sentences for right now because we're on level 3. Now we're going to introduce our new sound. Okay. Oh, let me move my face down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so our new sound or letter is I, which says I, I, I. The rule is short I is found at the beginning or middle of a word. Please repeat the rule with me. Short I is found at the beginning or middle of a word. Have your student repeat that. Also have your student repeat I says I. Okay. Then you can have them write on their desk or whatever surface they have. I says I. So use 2 fingers. I says I. I says I. Make sure they do that 3 times. The key word is itch. Please say itch. Okay. Now we're going to practice blending some words. I'm going to put myself up here a little bit so we can see the next words better. So you are going to use your finger and you are going to blend the sounds together. And also remember, you can always pause the video if they need more time. This isn't in the right section, I don't think. Oh, okay. So what I want for you to do right now before we blend sounds is to write I 3 times right here in this introduce new material section. So they will write I here 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, so give them time for that, and they should be saying I says I says 3 times. Okay, so now we're into the blend sounds portion. So you're going to take your finger underneath the word, do the sounds, and blend them together. If they need to sound it out first and then blend, that's fine. But we don't want them to read the word but it, and that be it. They need to go but it, bit. Okay? And obviously you can pause the slides if they need more time. Notice the change. Okay, so now we're going to have the learner read from the word book. This is a book they would have at school, but this is just the page from it screenshotted in. So you're going to take a moment and have them read each word. If that's too many words for them, just have them read 1 column or whatever works for them that day. Obviously, we need more than probably 4 or 5 words to be read. But if you need to repeat this lesson, if you didn't think they got it, you can do like half and then the next day do the other half. That's up to you. Give you a few minutes. You can obviously pause this video. So you can do that if you need more time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so now we are on the new material section where we're going to write words. So you're going to write some of these words that have I on these blanks down here in the new material section. Okay, go ahead and move my face up there. And then I'm going to dictate the following words. So they're going to repeat the word after me. Then they're going to touch spell the word. Then they're going to say each sound out loud while they're writing it on this paper on the bottom part where it says introduce new material down here. Okay? Pit. Student will repeat pit. They will touch spell pit. And then they will sound out while writing it on the paper. And they will do that routine for the following words. Also, remember, you can pause this to give them time in between. Sit. Hit. Bit. Pin. Tin. Fin. Sin. Once the learner has written all of the words, and make sure you give them time, do not rush them. Make sure they're doing the repeating, the touch spelling, and the sounding out while writing. Now they need to go through and read all the words that they just wrote in this new material section back to you. Okay, so pause the video and give them time to read that. And then for the final portion of our lesson will be the read aloud. So they will read these words aloud to you, and that will be the end of the lesson for today. Thank you and have a great